Hey, don't you just love the backdrop here? This is the Elkhart River behind us, and we're in Elkhart and at a homeowner's property that has, over the years, gotten a little overgrown, and you faced a lot of challenges when you came here, didn't you, Mark?
We did, but oh my goodness, the natural beauty that you see here is just incredible. The house sits high, and you can look down both directions of the river, and we did have some challenges here, and Sandy had approached us because basically these garden areas were just getting out of control. Number one, it's a steep hillside, and so that makes it challenging to get in there to work. And then number two is just you could spend a whole entire week weeding, and then when you're done, it was time to weed again. And so very, very frustrating. So it was important not only to beautify these areas, but to make it low maintenance for Sandy as well.
And Sandy has no weeding glasses, as you mentioned last week, right?
You remember that. That's important to have the weeding glasses.
That's
but
right.
No, it's really not going to be that much necessary here.
You know, you speak of the incline. This might be the steepest incline we've had on the show. This is really steep.
Got to have your hiking boots on.
You do. Where do we start here, Mark?
Well, we're going to start from the beginning.
Okay.
And so with the structure here, we want to have some height. We've got some of our dwarf butterfly bushes. These are going to get to be about 24, 30 inches in height, about the same in width. And as I walked up here, I actually saw some butterfly activity already. These start blooming late spring. They bloom the whole entire summertime up until frost. And they're going to reward not only the butterflies with these beautiful purple colored flowers, but the homeowner as well. And even though they're called bushes, we treat them as perennials. They get cut all the way down to the ground when they turn brown.
Yes.
And then they magically reappear again in the springtime.
Stone ground cover, and you know, it kind of makes sense to me, and I'm the amateur at this, but there's probably a lot of runoff here. That makes a lot of sense.
There is, and there's different types and sizes of stone that we could use, and we're going with a larger stone here just so it helps stabilize the hillside.
Yeah.
We've got our commercial grade woven fabric weed barrier there, and all of that is part of the design, not only to make it low maintenance, but to make it functional as well.
Sandy's good to go for many, many years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else?
Well, we've got our catmint here, which is in its glory, and featuring these beautiful blue colored flowers here. These will bloom all the way up until frost in the fall. These get to be about 20 to 24 inches in height and thrive in the sunny conditions. They have a nice aroma or fragrance to them. And then along the backside here of the structure, you're seeing our summer sweet, and those are just now starting to come into their glory. You see those white flowers there? They're buds, but haven't quite opened up yet. And those are going to be very sweet, very fragrant, and they'll have kind of a drooping type of look to them. Those will continue to bloom throughout the summertime as well, and provide a really nice fragrance.
This is an incredible design. I really love it. It had to be fun for your crew too, right?
Well, it was challenging.
A lot of work.
There's literally tons and tons of stones going back here. We've got our Asiatic lilies, and we just have a beautiful array of colors. You're starting to see a little hint of peach on some of those towards the back. And then along those steps, we've got our fragrant viburnum, which bloomed earlier this year with its beautiful clusters of white fragrant flowers.
We're getting close to the viewing deck here.
Yes, and so along the deck there, we've got our Monarda, also known as bee balm, very fragrant, and those will continue to bloom throughout the summertime. Of course, the very popular lavender here has been blooming all spring. It'll continue to bloom up until frost. I love taking cuttings of these, bring them inside, putting them in a vase, and they're going to last for 7 to 10 days.
You know, these trees have been here for a while, I know that, but boy, what a nice little buffer, huh?
It is a nice buffer. I can imagine myself sitting out here as Sandy does on the deck here, and it's just so peaceful. It's like a secret garden.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Nice work here too.
Well, you know, kudos to Sandy here. With all these coral bells here, it was part of the original landscape, and we thought it worked out really well. I love how those burgundy leaves play off of the deck. And we're starting to see some color on those coral bells starting to send up their spikes of color. We wanted a contrast of color as well as texture, and so we've got the coreopsis here in front with the bright yellow, just now starting to open up, and that plays off of the coral bells. So so nicely.
Well, she had good taste, didn't she?
She does.
Yeah.
And low maintenance, you know, these are all perennial flowers. When they turn brown, you simply cut them down at the end of the season, and then they will be back again next spring.
All right.
I'll share a secret with you.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of people are familiar with perennials and how they just keep spreading and multiplying, and that can be good if you're wanting them as a ground cover. But if you're like me and you like a nice, neat, tidy type of look, you really don't want that to happen. And so there is a lot of work with dividing plants as they get too big, but Sandy is never going to have to do that because we have predetermined the mature size of her perennials by the size of the opening in the weed barrier. Once those perennials have expanded to their full potential, honestly, they can't get any bigger.
Wow, how about that? And
Don't tell anyone.
Sandy is a perfectionist, isn't she?
Yes, she
Just
is.
like
We have that in common. So we've got our low maintenance edging around here, easy for the lawnmowers to mow up against here. No trimming necessary. Little garden path leading up to the deck steps here. And the focal point is going to be our hibiscus here. And we've got a beautiful hibiscus. It's called Copper King, and most hibiscus have green leaves and spectacular flowers. Well, Copper King has beautiful burgundy colored leaves there, and then a hot pink colored dinner plate size flower with a maroon eye. And those will be in bloom during the heat of the summertime for almost a couple of months.
I love the balance here. This is really a nice feel. And look at that view once again, huh?
It is amazing there.
Oh, yeah. What
We've
else?
got some of our low maintenance red drift roses. Red is Sandy's favorite color. And when I came out here last year, met Sandy for the first time, she says, Mark, I'm just getting too old to plant red geraniums anymore. As much as she loved her red geraniums, she really wanted the color red in her landscape. And so we've done not only the red drift roses, we've also done red knockout roses. And when Sandy pulls up into her driveway, going to put a big smile on her face.
And these guys are really durable, aren't they?
Oh my goodness, they are tried and true. They're the no muss, no fuss type of roses. And each one's going to put out over 2,000 blooms per season.
That's a lot.
Doing a nice layered look here with perennial dianthus, beautiful pink colored flowers here.
Sure.
These bloom nonstop both spring and summertime. And this is Sandy's honeysuckle vine here, which attracts both hummingbirds and butterflies. Thought that was a great place to keep that there. And so we incorporated that into the new landscape.
Sandy's thumbprint is here and there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I like that too.
Hey, I want to show you some landscaping that we did up
Sure.
around the house.
Nice.
And so these were existing landscape beds. We felt that the design and the shape of the beds worked out just fine. And so we kept the existing edging here. And with Sandy loving red, we've got these red knockout roses, which will be nonstop blooming all spring, summer, and fall, each one putting out over 2,000 blooms. We now have new weed barrier. We now have new stone ground cover. Sandy's going to get over 20 years worth of use, and nothing could be any lower maintenance.
So I counted 10. There's probably more than 10 rose bushes. And do the math there. Each one 2,000
Yes,
buds.
there you go.
That's a lot.
She's constantly
That's
going to
a
have
lot of color. Yeah.
We've got some dwarf ornamental grasses for a little bit of height and some texture here on the corner. We like to work in trios or a cluster of three. So you see 3 of the ornamental grasses. We've got 3 of the drift roses here. And then we're anchoring this corner here with a dwarf Alberta spruce. Wanted a little bit of height, would like some year-round color and interest, and the dwarf Alberta spruce is in the evergreen family and does such a wonderful job of just naturally shaping itself.
Hey, when you get back to the question of why Sandy made that call to you about a year or so ago anyway, was it because she wanted that low maintenance and no maintenance feel that you kind of referred to a little bit?
That was the most important thing. And as much as she loved her red geraniums, she's just gotten to the point where she didn't feel that she could keep doing that every single year. And so she had lots of red geraniums in here. We have replaced that with red drift roses and red knockout roses.
Okay, any finishing touch here on this?
Well, down around the base of the dwarf Alberta spruce here, we've got our purple Veronica, and that's going to bloom nonstop, putting out spikes of flowers spring, summer, and fall.
Outstanding. Well, it's a beautiful backdrop here along the lovely Elkhart River, and I hope you enjoyed the program, this segment of the show today, with all kinds of ideas. You can transplant these ideas into your own home and into your own family. Do it today and call on the great pros at Linton's Landscape Design.